Hey, hey, hey.
It's Fat Albert. I got a neighbor next door. He's an Asian guy. Lives down where I park my car, and his name's Albert. So every time I see him, I'm like,
Hey, hey, hey.
a lot of you might not get that reference. I grew up watching Fat Albert. What a great show. So I'm back. I'm back! Little James Brown. I've been asked not to do any more dance videos. Couple questions. Welcome to the Sunday night chat. It's been a couple weeks. You're going to get a treat today. I'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to address a couple quick things about the trip. Questions I've gotten through emails, in my comments. I don't remember them all, by the way, but Instagram. All about just the trip, the van, all that good stuff. I just read one. The guy was, because he'd said, I'd pointed out that at one point I was driving like 80 to 85 miles an hour, and he said, what's with people in California doing whatever they want on the road? Now, I don't know if that was a dig, like he thought I was driving too fast, or what. Excuse me. Again, I haven't spoken all day to anybody else. For one thing, I don't know where everybody lives that makes the comments, but I can tell you that on the West Coast, speed limits are higher. They're about 75 out here. Some places it's 85. I know Texas is like 85 in a lot of the areas there. So there's that. Secondly, I'm not an unsafe driver. When I am driving fast, it's safe for me to do so. I'm either in the left lane and there's plenty of room around me, or everybody else is doing the same speed. Excuse me. I'm not driving that fast regularly, nor am I driving at that speed for an extended period of time usually. I came from the era where we were driving old. And my first car was a 71 Dodge Dart V8, 318. And I've owned a lot of used, almost every car I've ever owned has been a used vehicle. So, yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I learned how to work on vehicles, right? I was always kind of poor. So I had to learn how to do this stuff, fix it myself. And I'm the kind of guy that, I'm Greek. I got a very sensitive ass. You know what I'm saying? I can feel things through my hands. So I'm feeling and listening to the vehicle. I know where the happy place is at any given time when I'm driving this van based upon road and weather conditions. I know, I can tell if the RPM range is too high, where it's just not safe to be driving at a certain speed because you're just going to wear things out. So, and also, I keep mentioning this in the videos. My Astro van is not your Astro van. I've done a lot of stuff to my van. I'm not done. There's still a lot of tweaking to go on. I really have to. I want to mess with my suspension more for off-road in particular. And that's all coming as I can get to it. But if I'm at the right, if the temperature's right outside, and if I'm at the right elevation, and I'm cruising along, every once in a while, I'll look down and I won't even feel the fact that I'm doing 85 or 90 miles an hour. Now, something settled in a little bit. I think the new shocks in the front helped. Because when I first went through everything with this setup, again, my S van's not your Astro van. My van has a 32-inch tire. I think it's a 285, 35, 16. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's a Falcon Wild Peak. They call it a 32-inch tire. They call it a pizza cutter because it's narrower than what most people put on a 4x4. But I think it's pretty close to what the Astro van width was. And I have to keep my footprint pretty much factory so it fits up and down my driveway. And with that, I also have a new transmission. I mean, it's like 3-4 years old now, but I put a new transmission in this thing, a Jasper transmission. And you know, all new, pretty much everything. The drivetrain's new. You know, the transfer case was new. The drive shaft is new. I've got 410 gears in it. I've got new rear axles. I'm always replacing the front CV axles. You know, what else? I got the ECU, right, which is the computer. I got a replacement computer that's reflash, so it's set up for my tire size and my gearing, and I had the shifting points adjusted for the computer so that it shifts in the next gear quicker. It used to lag too much in first gear from the factory, which used to kill my city gas mileage. So my van is different compared to most of the other Astros on the road. And I don't know, man, just lucky. But I got that thing dialed to where it shifts nice, and I know how to deal with it. And I know, like, the key on the Astro van, because it's all computers, you don't want to step on the gas. You don't want to put the gas pedal to the floor, because the computer can't read that quick enough. So the key is that you just want to touch the gas pedal. And you just want to touch it when you want to go a little bit faster. Because it takes a second or two sometimes for that message to go, oh, he wants more fuel. Okay, we got to adjust the oxygen mixture and everything else. Computer has to do all that work, and then you'll feel it kick on. So even going uphill, I can give it a little bit of gas, and it'll go, and it's great. On the way up to, it's called the Bald Mountain OHV area, I think that's what it is. And, you know, I kept it pretty much under 80 the whole way, which I like to do. I'm going to get my best fuel economy typically at like 75 or under. On the way back, you know, keep in mind, I'm climbing out of the basin here. So on the way up, it's theoretically, I mean, it's uphill all the way, plus the mountains. On the way down, it's downhill all the way until you get to the grapevine, and you get over the grapevine, and then it's downhill again. So the speeds were faster on the way home, just typically. And if I'm doing 85, I'm not even always in the left lane. Sometimes I'm in the next to the left lane because there's people doing 100 miles an hour or more driving past me. You know, slower people on the road are more dangerous oftentimes than the faster people. But yeah, I drive as fast as I want to go, depending on my mood and the circumstances, as I can, as circumstances allow safely. That's how I approach it. And a lot of the times, I just find some really nice speed that I like. You know, sometimes I just want to go 72 miles an hour. Sometimes I just want to go 78 miles an hour. I've told you guys this before. The thing about the van is I can get great fuel economy even at those high speeds, because it'll lock in, the RPM range settles in at that number. I could do 83 miles an hour and be getting, depending, 16 to 22 miles per gallon, you know. But you can't count on that for the trip, because you slow down and you speed up again, and this speeding up again kills it. If there's a slight grade, it kills it. If there's a strong headwind, it kills it. It's just, you know, you get to that speed, and as long as you can cruise for a while, everything adjusts and just cruises at that thing. It's not terrible at that number. It's interesting. So, yeah, I find that if you find your speed, your pace, and you hold it at that pace, and let's say you're in the fast lane and you're passing people, once you get into what motorcyclists call, what we used to call when I was riding motorcycles, the safety zone, where you've just gotten through a patch of cars and there's another group of vehicles way up ahead of you, it's kind of nice to stay in that safety zone if you can do it. So that's what I tend to do on road trips. But usually I'll find the speed, I'm passing some people, and then I get over. I don't stay in the far left lane the whole time I'm cruising. I let people pass me. I don't care. Pass me, man. If I'm cruising along and I look in the mirror and somebody's on my ass and I can get over, like there's not 30 vehicles to my right that I'm going to have to pass first, you know, I get over and I let the person pass me. If it's 16 cars that want to pass, I let them pass me. So I'm conscientious about everybody else on the road. I'm not doing a lot of this shit and everything else. So I'm just throwing that out there. That's the answer to that question. I got another one on the new bumper I put on. I think she was curious about the storage. I guess she meant the storage box. The storage box is mostly just extra fluids and some recovery gear, stuff like that. I got a 5-gallon jerry can in there that's full. I went in there for something like the first day, and then I never went in it again. So I'm not really using that. I mean, I use it. It's great. Love having it. But it's not something you go into. I mean, maybe once a month you go in there. So it's great. It's just a closet is all it is. I didn't go into the bumper storage. Didn't need to. Again, there's a jack in there and a block of wood and rope and stuff like that. Didn't need it. No rattles. Nothing. Those swingaways lock in perfectly. Nothing. Don't notice anything. When I put all that on and it threw the weight behind the rear wheels a little bit more, it settled the rear end a little bit more than it was. So I lowered my front end by adjusting the torsion key bolts to lower that a hair. It's still not set up exactly right because I don't have the right suspension that I want on the van yet. So I have to sort that. But the thing is working flawlessly. I can't, knock wood here. Amazing. I'm very pleased. I've mentioned this before. I've got a couple issues. A little weeping from the timing cover up front. Never leaves a drip on the road, but it will just kind of a little bit of weepage is blowing back. So now my oil pan has a film of oil on it and that sort of thing. And my Hydro Boost leaks. And that's been doing that for like 4 years. I think I pointed it out back then. So I've got something like that, maybe 3 years. It's 3 or 4 years. I've had the thing since 2018. 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's, 6 years already. So yeah, it could have been 4 years ago. So I need to address those two things. It's going to happen. The kitchen setup I have, working out those back doors, the Dutch doors, everything works fine with the new bumper, with the swingaways. Some of you will remember when I got it, I was nervous because those swingaways don't open out completely. They open out something like this. It turns out that's exactly enough. Because my Dutch doors now, they won't open all the way, but they open enough to where even if I had fold downs on both of those, I could still get belly up to the middle of the van there with the Dutch doors open. The really neat thing about the bumper is its depth. It's deep enough where it served like a cook surface. I was cooking on it. I would take my refrigerator, the Bodega fridge freezer. I could set it right on the bumper. It wasn't going to tip off or fall down or anything. So I could pull it out, set it on the bumper, open it up, get what I need, put it on the fold down cutting board, put the cooler back into the back of the van. It was awesome. It was awesome. I didn't do any gourmet cooking. I cooked my stew before I left and put it in 2 containers, had it in the fridge. I didn't even finish it. That's mainly because the first few days I was there, I was with some people, and they were cooking. So yeah, I would have preferred to eat all my own food, and that only because once I got away from them and I was all alone, I dropped weight pretty quick. I think I dropped about 10 pounds. According to my scale, it's hard because every time I get on, it gives me different readings, one of those digital scales. But I could tell I went down a whole hole on my belt. So I think I mentioned in one of the videos, like the first few days I was there, I looked pretty pudgy to me. And I knew it going in it. But by the time I was done, I was like, oh, I can flex this and I can see this in my abdomen. Like this is feeling better. I wasn't working out super hard. I did some burpees and whatnot. But for the most part, it was just a lot of hiking. And I was lifting a lot of big rocks. You'll see it in the upcoming videos. I built a little dam for myself where I camped. It was water coming down over this slick rock, and there was a few little pools that would be like ankle deep or mid shin deep, but for the most part it was only a couple inches of water running through there. So I don't want to spoil anything with what you're going to see, but I found the nice spot to do that. So I went out there one day and spent initially it was 2 hours, but became a lot more work. I was picking up the biggest rocks and just putting them over my head and pressing them and walking them over my head and putting them down. There was a lot of that at the campsite too. you'll see, when I first get there to before I leave, you'll see bigger rocks stacked behind the van where I put the Lifesaver jerry can. I mentioned the Lifesaver jerry can at one point that it had a little bit of a mildewy thing. I got rid of that just by pumping enough water through it, cleaning it out in the stream, dumping it out, and it was fine after that. What else? So yeah, there was a lot of carrying rocks around. The bathroom thing, I mentioned that in a video. I mentioned that in a short. If you go to my videos, go to the shorts, there's one there. It starts with the fire pit. I did this thing with the shorts when I was leaving. The mistake I made was I started them both from the same place, so the untrained eye or the lazy-minded won't notice the title is different. Because I posted them on Instagram. I think I posted them on YouTube as well. But one was, hey, I was just scanning, not saying anything. And I go, what? Literally living in a van down by the river. I just thought that was funny. But the next one is me kind of showing the space and talking about it a little bit more. And then the one that starts with the fire ring, these are all shorts, so they're vertical. That one I show you real quick. I zoom in and you'll see this, like, it looks like a hunting blind I built. So the area, you come off the, what's it called? Dinky Creek, I think is what it's called. Dinky Creek Road, you end up going up off the 168. Excuse me. And it's quite a ways up in there to get to this spot. But this spot, right next to the road when you get off, there's a big open area with not a lot of trees next to the area with trees where we camped. So the first two videos, you see that when I'm with those people. And there's actually a bathroom there and everything. But when you leave there, if you go down kind of towards the water, there's the road that I took with Dan in the side-by-side that second morning where we did the water crossing. But there's another road that goes down just to the water, and it's a dead end, and that's where I was camping. So nobody went down there. I mean, one time a side-by-side came down with 4 people. I talked about it in one of the videos. I was in the van, organizing some stuff in the van. I got some stuff done while I was there in the van, cleaning it up, finding my redundancy and whatnot. And some of it I've taken out of the van already, more I will be taking out. And the only people I saw was that one time, and then one day, and it was in the short video, I mentioned it. That was the day I did the 4-hour hike, which is the next video I'll be posting. I got lost again out in the woods. I mean, I knew exactly kind of where I was, but then towards the end of it, I just made a miscalculation, and I ended up way up on the mountain on the other side of the creek, close to where the first campsite was. So once I found this road and I got up on it, I got to the end of that, I was at the big area with the bathroom. I had no idea how that happened. It was crazy, but I knew my campsite was below that after that, so it was easy. But after that, I was pretty spent, and ended up, again, the whole nudity thing. I get naked, I get in the sun, it's good for you. But I was laying out on the rocks by myself, going in and out of the water. This is before I built the dam to build a pool for myself, a little bit more upstream, still right there by the campsite. I was laying out there on a towel, just spent, and it wasn't hot at that point. It was just right. And I was sleeping, I roll over, I was sleeping on my side. Again, just a naked dude on a towel on the rocks. And I got tired of that. And I realized, I'd come from the beach. I know what too much sun is. You can feel it. I got a nice burn, just right, so I'll get a tan. I'm getting tan. I get a nice, I'm Greek, man. I get a great color, But my whole back, ass, everything. So my back has been itching the last few days pretty bad. But I got back up to the van, and I was relaxing, and I was doing something in the van, and I heard voices. And I went out to look, and it was a father, and I guess his wife, and a daughter with a dog walking down in the river. And I kind of walked up and looked, and he looked up at me and waved, and I just waved at him. I mean, about an hour or so earlier than that, if they had come down, I just would have been laying right in front of them with no clothes on. That could have been a little embarrassing for them, So you got to be aware of that sort of thing. It was good. The bathroom situation was, so there's this road that goes down to the campsite. It comes down and it stops, and then there's water there. And just before the end of that is where I had the van, and I had 2 trees right there. I picked that spot purposely because I knew at some point of the day the tree on the driver's side of the van was going to give me shade. I knew it's summertime. The sun is basically overhead. So I was over that tree, or excuse me, under it. Tree was over me and it was leaning just right. I picked the right spot for that reason. And so that shaded me for a good part of the day when the sun is super hot. And then the sun would go between the trees and hit me, but I had my awning. And then it would come around later in the afternoon and I had another tree here, which gave me a ton of shade. So it was the right place to park for that. A lot of ants around, which I didn't like, but you know, it didn't really bother me. You get used to it pretty quick. But that spot is here. And that little dirt road goes past it. And then just beyond that, there was this little low-lying area. It was the closest place I could find that made the most sense to put in a latrine, a cat hole, for lack of a better term. And there were some pine trees there with a rock, and right in front of that there was some logs. So what I did was I took the logs, I laid them on top of one another, and I reinforced it, and I created what looks like a hunting blind. There's pictures of it, and you'll see it in some of the videos. I didn't want to show the bathroom because it, you know, bothers some people, but I'm very pro about that. I made a perfect hole in there right next to the tree at the roots. You're nourishing the tree. Everything that comes out of you is perfectly fine for the tree. As a matter of fact, what's really interesting is, and this might sound gross to a lot of people, but you poop there, and when you go back, you look, and all the ants are in there, and there's flies, and all kinds of, you're actually feeding all these critters. It's pretty amazing, actually. And it was just enough. So by the time I left Thursday morning, you know, I just filled it back up with dirt, put the pine needles over it, knocked it around with the shovel. You could not tell, other than that blind being there, that was a shitter. You can't tell. And what I have is this metal frame collapsible toilet. It's got a normal toilet seat on it. I even put a lid on it. You don't need a lid, obviously, but there's videos on this on my channel. I don't know how you find them. I don't know if I did a playlist on camping toilet, but if you put in camping toilet or something like that, you could probably find it. I did a bunch of videos on it when I got it. It'll support something like just over 300 pounds. And so I knew if I put a lid on it, then that serves as a step stool or an extra seat around the fire. It's multi-purpose. Yeah, the way it works too is it's got a plastic ring, so you can put a plastic bag through the ring and wrap it around the ring and snap the ring inside the toilet seat. So if you had to use it in your van or something, which I've done, you know, to test it out to make sure, you can basically poop in a bag, put everything you need in the bag. I even have some sawdust in there. You throw some sawdust in there if you want, and then tie a knot in it, and then you throw it in the garbage when you get to a garbage can. So it's a pretty efficient setup. It collapses pretty flat. The closet behind me when I'm driving the van, that plywood box behind me, that's designed to house that and the first set of solar panels I got, plus everything else, a bunch of other crap. So it's pretty well thought out. The system works okay. When you're in the van, it's not as convenient because it takes a while to set that up. You'd be much faster with just a bucket that you can stretch a plastic bag around the outside of that and go in. But the thing with the bucket is the bucket eats up a lot more space. So the bucket is interesting because you can still turn that over and use it as a seat, and the bucket you could use to carry water or put other stuff in. But again, the bucket eats up a lot of space, and I do think about going to a bucket because it is faster to deal with, but it just space is at such a premium in the van. My buddy Chad's got one. He said it's shorter, so it's more like a 2.5 gallon bucket. That might be an interesting thought process because, you know, anyhow. So, the thing I don't like about the bucket is if you sit on the bucket, for me as a man, it's kind of hard. You can't, excuse me for being graphic here, but tucking your junk in, you know, to like deal with that, it's just difficult. It's not, you know, it's not conducive for a man to be doing that. So that's the reason I don't like it. With the system I have, that toilet seat's like sitting on a normal toilet. And you can squat. You don't need any of these things. But I found that system of having that, it works inside the van if I need it to work. And when you are camping, and you're going to be camping for several days in a row, or a week, or 2 weeks, whatever it is, in that one location, that's what you do, man. You set yourself up a nice little bathroom latrine thing, far enough away. and it's super convenient. It's just there. You don't have to worry about it. You know, when you got to go, you go over there and you go. You walk away. At the end of everything, you clean it up. Nobody knows it was there. So you got to be responsible. The big thing is the paper. There's a whole discussion about pooping while you're camping. And just so you guys realize, I was educating the people I was with the first day. You don't even need to dig a hole. You could literally poop on the ground. All the other animals do it. I've done the tests, by the way. I've gone out places where I've pooped on the ground, and I've gone back a couple days later, and it's gone. There's nothing left of it. So the key is the paper. That's the key. So worst case scenario, you can have like a Ziploc bag, like a freezer bag, or your regular grocery bag, or whatever. Have your, I don't know how to put it. I guess you can go out there with paper and baby wipes. Those are the two things I like to use because I'm clean, even when I'm out in the woods. I like to keep my butt clean. It's a weird thing. Never had track marks ever in my underwear, ever in my life. I've seen other people have that, and it grossed me out when I was a kid. I'm like, I'm never having that, man. It's like getting caught lying when you're a kid. You'll never lie again. You shouldn't, anyhow. So, yeah, so the big thing is just have some bag that, if you didn't have a way to dig a hole, have a bag with you so that you could take the paper that you use and the baby wipes that you use and everything else and put it in that bag and then discard that properly. That would be the responsible thing to do. Because I've been out there when you go to some place that's relatively close to the city usually, and let's say you go off a little bit to go to the bathroom, you look around. I did a whole video on it, how to poop in the woods, I think is what it's called. It's on my channel. And I was in near Prescott. Yeah, I think I was near Prescott, Arizona, and there was just toilet paper all over the forest. It was disgusting. Disgusting. What's wrong with you people? Think about it, man. You don't do that. That's horrible. So, as far as cleaning myself, I was just in and out of the water all day, every day. That's it. I didn't shower. I didn't wash my hair or use soap the whole time. I just used the fresh water that was there. I felt great. Excuse me, I talk about it in the video. I wasn't smelly. I was checking. I'm self-conscious about that. I can't stand my own stink if I get funky. I like to be clean. So I was in and out of the water a lot. I'd get in the water and, scrub myself up with the water, it worked out great. I was looking like a wild man, but it was phantasmic. I forgot to look at the watch before I started. Damn it. I am wearing this. I brought 4 watches with me on the trip that I kept changing. And this is a Seiko titanium perpetual calendar, really high accuracy quartz movement, expensive movement in this watch. And I just put it on this brown leather strap. I like the black with the brown. I was wearing on the hemp strap on the trip. And you know what? Even though with it being a titanium watch, it's super lightweight and it was fine on that strap, it was still too flimsy. I don't like the hemp. I tried it now. I wore it quite a bit with that watch. This watch here and a couple others did not work for me. So it's on this one right now. But yeah, back to being clean. That's what I did. And I was fine. I slept great. My setup is the Hasika awning with the Hasika hatchback thing that you see. I leave the hatch open on the van the whole time. It's not designed for the Astro van. It works, but it's not perfect. Now, I should have it. I don't have it here. There's a list of stuff that I wrote down. You know what? Let me go get it. I'll go get it, and then we'll talk about it. All right. So it made me think of this because it's one of those things I wrote down. Not a lot here, but I was talking about the hatchback cover, and it's not perfect. And so I wrote here, remake the hatchback screen system. There are companies out there and people out there who can sew. You can get the heavy canvas. The technology today is crazy. Like those, you ever see those pop-ups? Like a slide-in camper that's not much higher than the cab of the truck. And you get in it and you pop it up, it goes up another 2 feet or more, and it's got a strut system. But that's all canvas. Well, these days they've got that where it's like insulated, double walled, the windows are, it's amazing. I don't know if I need to get that crazy, but I can easily, it's what I do for a living, is I design things. I can easily design one of these things to work with the Astro van based on the same system, but I can make it more tough. Like that hatch, when it goes up, even at those corners where it's resting, after a while that material's going to wear thin, it's going to tear. So if I was doing that, I'd reinforce all that, and I'd make it the right length, and I'd make the bungees better, and it would be better. It would be suited perfectly. So when, because mine, that one slides down, I keep pulling it up, and I got a couple ideas that I came up with to deal with, and one of them is the way it attaches at the bottom. I kind of slide underneath the mattress, but there's a wood platform there, and if I put snaps on that and snaps on this, I could snap it in place. It wouldn't move anymore at the bottom. So that's an improvement that I want to do, and I need to get a like a bungee system to wrap it up around the top to lock that in place so it doesn't keep sliding down. These are things you probably didn't even notice. I got to finish the ceiling, and then I'm thinking about, I didn't finish the ceiling in the van on either side because I was going to build boxes there to store things, but because I raised the bed so high, it's right at that level at the bottom of the side windows, the back rear windows. I didn't want anything hard there, so my new idea is finish the ceiling with some wood up there, and then make soft bags, basically. That'd be like a cabinet that can snap into place. Maybe have a strap that snaps and holds it in place. That have a zipper opening like this, possibly, where it folds down. I could even have like a little thing in there to hold, so it folds down and holds itself open. I could have stuff in there and rest it on there. I've got all these ideas. It's all in here. But I think I'll do two on the passenger side, excuse me, on the driver's side, and one on the passenger side. And you could take them out. You could bring them upstairs. You could put all your clothes in those things, and then place them up there, and they're there. And if you ever hit your head on it, it's a soft thing. You're not going to hurt yourself. To me, I think that seems like a genius idea. You'd be amazed at how much stuff you could get in a space, you know, that big and that long. It's amazing. So that's, I'm going to do that. And then I decided I want to put some thermometers in the van. It was funny. I didn't think about turning on the key and looking at the temperature gauge. I should have done that at night. But I'd like to have I don't know if they have stick-on ones, like stick-on thermometers, but if they do, I want to put one on both sides of the van, because sometimes the van, like this side, I want to know what the side in the sun is, the temperature, and what's the temperature in the shade, just for my own curiosity. Even one on the inside. I'm sure that those things, you probably get a pretty decent thermometer set up like that. It's pretty inexpensive, but it's all be smart. And I want some on the outside of the van. I've got to start doing some stuff. Like I need a table set up, and I'm considering, I forget what it's called. You got L-track, I think it is. People put those aluminum strips, and there's like a slot and holes cut in it, and you can take these L-track fittings and put them in. It gets kind of pricey. I've been using Unistrut. That's why I use it on the roof. I've been thinking about putting some Unistrut across on the outside. I'm literally mounted to the body of the van and in some areas to mount stuff to. I'm not sure if I'll do that. I'm just mentioning it. I wouldn't mind bolting some flip-out hooks on certain areas of the van, because when you set up camp, like I've got my pack or whatever, it'd be nice to just throw a hook open and hang the pack instead of putting it on the ground or having to put it inside the van all the time. Just something that popped off in my brain, makes kind of sense. Clamp straps for, okay. Oh, that's about it. Although I do have a note here from my friend Carla. I sent her a bunch of fabric. You know, she made these hats. You see in the second video, Dave's wearing one of these. Both of the hats she made for me are way too large for me. I thought they'd be too large for anybody, but apparently the people I was hanging out with have gigantic skulls, and it happened to fit Dave perfectly, so he got it. But I sent Carla some vintage fabric that is floral pattern. Carla, I'm going to send you some money too. And I said, look, it's pretty heavy duty material. Practice on this. And then I realized, like, this cap, a woman at the campsite liked it, and she put it on. She goes, this is the kind of hat that looks good on women. And you see the pictures of Carla wearing it. She looked adorable in that thing. Adorable. And I'm thinking with the floral pattern, it was funny because she's like, well, the problem with the floral pattern is trying to get the pattern centered. No, no, no. Don't worry about that. Cut the fabric up. Just make it with zero consideration of how the flowers lay out in the pattern on the hat when it's done. Don't worry about it. But I think if she makes a few to get them right, so she gets all her whole process right without wasting like the quality material, those caps, I think it'd be real cute for the ladies. I might even be able to pull it off. It might look cool. So I'm excited about that. But I also sent her, I found an amazing deal. You might have seen it in one of the videos. It was like 8 yards by 60 inches. So it's like 24 feet by 5 feet of a herringbone twill like this, but in an indigo blue, so you don't see the herringbone pattern too much. It's just like a nice denim color, but much lighter weight than this. It's very thin, 100% cotton, vintage cotton. We're going to actually have to double it up to use it to make the hats, but it's going to be perfect for shirts and things. And what I noticed when I was at Saline with Sarah and then we're all walking around naked, I'm not the type to just be flopping around when I'm out there around a lot of other people. Obviously I'm not embarrassed. I'm fine being naked around people, but I don't see the need to be like, I wore a towel around my waist when I was just walking to the different hot tubs and hanging out or eating or something or working out. I wasn't just doing that naked because there are other people around. If I'm in the middle of nowhere and there's nobody else around, I don't give a shit. So, but summertime, the sun is out, man. And the sun, you know, there is such a thing as too much sun. So I was thinking about it. And so, Carl, if you're watching this, I'm going to ask her to make me basically take some of that material and from about just above knee height, so that's got to give her this measurement. I want basically a poncho, basically a piece of fabric that has a hole in it for my head, but I want to slice it. This is perfect that I'm wearing this. I want it to open up all the way down to about like my belly button and either have toggles or buttons or something in it. But it can be open here, you throw it over, and it's got a hood on it. So when it's real sunny and it's real hot, you can throw the hood up over your head. You can keep the sun off your head, off the back of your neck, off your ears, the sun off your shoulders and everything else. You don't have anything else on, and there's at least some modesty there. You know, you can walk around and the air gets through it and everything else. You could even have like a little belt if you wanted to tie it around you if it's windy or something. So I just thought that was like, it's like it's so funny to say this, right? It's nudist apparel. Welcome to Oxymoron Design, nudist apparel. Oh, that's what I'm going to show you next here. Okay, so I just spoke for about another 30 minutes, and I got up to do this other thing, and I looked, and the camera was off. It only recorded like 8 minutes and 33 seconds, and then it went off. I don't know what happened. So that's pretty bad, because I don't remember everything else I just said. Not cool. So we're just going to jump to this. I'm going to repeat some of what I just said for the setup here. What a bummer, man. What a stinking bummer. I turned you guys onto a bunch of stuff. I showed you a link I want you to watch, but maybe it's for the best. So at night, I'm alone. I would set up the fire and I'd smoke some grass. And I'm not a wake and bake guy. I don't smoke during the day. I'm not one of those people. At night only. And then it's usually just a little bit, and I go to bed. Like I watch something and I go to bed. But on the trip, when I was sitting around the fire, I smoked more, and my mind was really going. I remember now, because I did want to mention this. I did a 4-hour hike at one point, and I was going up down the mountains. I went through this place, these areas that had been burnt. It was regrowing, and there were these ferns by the water. And the ferns, when they first pop out of the ground, they're like little tiny swirly things, and you can pick them and eat them, and they're delicious. Everyone tastes different. It's crazy. And I'm sitting by the fire, and I'm smoking, and when late at night, and then after that, every night, even when I got back here, I closed my eyes if I smoke a little bit. I'm telling you, I could see like it's almost like a microscopic flowers and green and nature. I was so high at night. And then by the end of the trip, like the last night I was there, it was like I was literally communicating with the plant life around me. like listening to the trees, like having conversations with the trees, and they were my friends, and they were so good to me. It was so crazy. I turned into a full-blown hippie, man. Full-blown hippie on that trip by the last day. I was like, oh, I love this place. I love the trees. I love the insects. I love the air. I love the water. I love the rocks. It was ridiculous, but it was awesome. It was awesome. So that was my thing. But I was sitting there one night, and I was thinking about like what's been going on, because now, let me just check the camera, make sure it's still rolling. Okay. I'm sorry, now I'm paranoid. Look, yeah, 10,000 subscribers, right? You know what that means? I'm officially a content creator. I feel stupid. And when people walk around and I'm a content creator, I just want to smack them because they just sound like an asshole. But when you get 10,000 people to sign up who are saying, I like your content, I think that that's officially what you've become. It's not a job to me, but that's what it is. And with that comes all this other stuff. One of the things that comes with that is I'm getting attention now from women. Now, you know, when I was young, I had plenty of attention because I used to go out, but I don't go out. I sit home every night. So now I'm getting stuff. And thank you. It's flattering. I appreciate it. It's very nice of you. And I'm nice to everybody. But when I'm nice back, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm like interested in wanting to go out with you or dating you or something. It's just I'm a pretty nice guy, really, generally speaking. I'm not a jerk off. I'm a nice guy. So I don't know where I want to go with that with people. And I'm kind of like, I know what I like, and I could look at somebody and I could think, well, I could see the positive attributes and what's nice about that person, but I still know at the same time it's not what I want, you know, enough of it, you know, and I know that sounds bad, but I'm just putting it out there. And I was thinking about this while I was sitting at the fire one night. It was pretty late, and I was kind of lit, and I had all this stuff in my mind about, you know, if I was to meet somebody now that really ticked off all these boxes for me, I really felt great around that person, and I was really considering wanting to go out with them, these are the things I'd want to talk about from the jump now that I'm older and I know. And I had all this stuff in my mind, and then I sat back and I went, wait a second, I got the phone here, I could record this. And the problem was when I started recording, I lost my train of thought because I was too lit. And so I did a bunch of segments, and I stitched them together. And I don't know how good they are because I watched them when I stitched them together, and I haven't watched it since. And I forgot about it. And when I was putting together the last video yesterday morning, which you guys will see in several days from now, because like I said, there's 3 or 4 more videos coming up, I stumbled upon that clip. It's like a 22-minute clip. So I don't know how good it is. Give me some slack. I curse. I use a word that women hate at one point, but it's apropos. It's for the sake of comedy. I was doing this to be funny on purpose, but there's some real stuff in there. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm going to show it to you now. And I do want to say this, because I mentioned it somewhere else in one of the other videos, and it might sound delusional or fantasy, but for decades, since I was a kid, I always wanted to do comedy. And I've been too busy working and doing other things. And I've mentioned this before, but I have been writing stuff down, and I've been working out things in my mind. And you have to think about your presence and how you look, all these things. I've been working all this out, and I do have to make the time to. All right. I was just thinking, I had this whole thing running in my brain, and I thought I should write that down, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I do this thing. We're going to lose the light. You probably won't be able to see me, but I'll just keep talking. So, that was just a thought. I'm out here. I've been having all kinds of things. Actually, I've been brain dead for days. It's been great. This is the first time something popped into my brain that I thought, So, you know, I don't know. I've been single for a long time, and, you know, I think about that. It doesn't bother me all that much, but what if I was to meet somebody now that, you know, I wanted to talk to about creating a relationship, right? What would I want to talk to you about from the jump? Like, what would be important? Like what? Yeah, basically what I've learned over all these years, right? So, you know, if I'm talking to somebody that I'm potentially considering having a relationship with, I'm going to want to have these conversations. Things like, honesty is the number one thing. You can't lie to me. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, omitting something is not the same thing as lying. Here's why. In my case, most of the time something was ever perceived to have been omitted was just because it wasn't on my friggin' mind, man. You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking about it. That's all. It never came up. Never came up. I've had a long life. I've done a lot of crazy shit. I'm not thinking about all the stuff that you might be concerned about, That's all that is. So, and I would give you that same leeway. Months, years into something comes into our situation that you knew about before you knew me. You never told me about it, but it wasn't something that ever came up. I wouldn't expect you to have told me everything. That's crazy. I get it. I'm just saying, number one. And number two, I'm always trying to stay fit, and I'm not as fit as I should be right now, and I'm feeling it, and I'm seeing it with my age. I noticed something in the videos I shot the last couple days, man. Like, I've always had pretty good pecs, and it looked like my boobs were moving around too much, like I'm getting bitch tits or something. Not cool, man. Not cool. So, that's back to, I gotta start doing burpees and my push-ups and everything else way more regular. I have been taking this product. I don't want to get into that. That was a tangent I just avoided. You're welcome. So, because I'm always trying to stay kind of fit, and I intend to get more fit, I would appreciate it if you do the same thing. As a matter of fact, that's something that I'm not going to demand of you. However, I want to, every time I look at you, I want to be turned on. And I know that the mind thing is the most important thing, who you are as a person, all that. I get it. We all get that. That goes without saying. Of course. Of course. I'm just saying, a waistline would be nice. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's too much to ask for. And here's the thing I can promise you. If I'm, if we're going to be doing it together. I want somebody to do this with and go hiking and, hike to the Hollywood sign a couple times a week and, do stuff. Work out, all that good stuff. Part of the normal thing. There was another one. I just can't think of it at the moment. There was a whole bunch of them. I was sitting here just like, yeah, that would make sense. That's what I would want to say. And the other thing is that this is an ongoing discussion. And I mean, this all sounds like some people are laughing at me right now. Darr, that's what everybody does when they first started dating. Darr. Well, I didn't. I wasn't ever doing that. Usually I met somebody and, we were just having sex all of a sudden. And I was like, well, maybe I should go out with this person. I don't know. That was when I was younger. But then I realized, yeah, obviously you want to get to know somebody first. So that's what I'm saying. That's kind of what this is about, And then what if somebody's younger, than you are? That's a pretty significant thing. Shit, man. That's a hard thing for me because, for one thing, I don't go around thinking that women that are 20 years younger than I am even would want to have anything to do with me. So I don't even look at those people. But what if that kind of scenario happens? That's a weird one. I don't know. Anyhow, there's going to be more to this. This is just some notes for myself. I don't intend on putting this on YouTube. This was just for me. But if you happen to be watching it on YouTube, it's because I felt like, fuck it. All right. I thought of another one. This is an important one. What goes on between us intimately in our relationship is between us. That's not for your family, your mother, not for your best friends, none of that. That means, like, even if we're having like a little rough patch, I mean, obviously you're going to talk to these people, but you know, there has to be a code between us with certain things, you know. There has to be a line of how much information. Just out of mutual respect for one another, because that's how I would be. I'm not telling my friends any of my intimate details about my girlfriend. Matter of fact, what I want you to tell your friends, your girlfriends, is that I've got the tiniest penis and my breath smells like dog farts. That's what I want you to tell them about me. All right? I'm going to tell my friends, she's great. She's got this great personality. We have so much fun. It's just that smell I get out of her. It's like something just freaking crawled up there and died. You understand what I'm saying? And the reason for this is because if you tell your friends positive shit about the person you're going out with, there's a percentage. This is just the way the world is. There's a percentage of some of you that have some of these girlfriends who will then, like, if you tell your girlfriends the truth, you know what I'm saying, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's good. It's pretty good. So if you tell them that, they're going to want to jump me. Ask me how I know this. And I've seen the same thing with dudes. So, you got me on that one? Alright, if another one comes to me, I'll let you know. This is going to be a fucked up... I think I am going to put this on YouTube. This is ridiculous. Alright. Trying to keep some light on the subject here. Okay. Again, I'm just looking at the lens. This is more like if you're married, alright? This ain't when you're dating somebody. But this would probably kind of work itself out if you're dating somebody long enough where you're going to end up marrying them, right? And this goes both ways. Because I would back you up, just like I expect you to back me up. Now, I'm talking about family. I don't know your family. I'm going to get to know them. I reserve the right to call any of them out if they're acting like a jerk-off. I don't take that from anybody in my life, period. I kind of like the kind of gal that is the same way. Nobody's going to give you any shit in my family, period. And if it happens, I've got your back. Unless you've been a cunt. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just popped into my head there, but I'm just saying. Like, you know, you've been cheating on me and all kinds of other crazy shit. You know, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know, we got to be realistic here. That cracked me up. Okay. I know. There's some of you out there, it's like, this guy is an asshole. No wonder he's single. I get it. For the women who think that, who happen to be married to a man with a penis, who identifies as a man, those women, I think that the majority of those women who are married to a man are probably married to a man who's not very happy. Yeah, that's all. Either he agrees with her and he's just one of those people who, because, you know, who can't like me? I'm just kidding about that. That went off the rails in the wrong direction. I can be an asshole. I'm just saying. I find the relationships I've seen in my life where, you know, again, female and man, married people, the ones I see that are the happiest, get along the most, do the most fun things, go out into nature, just love their lives, have a great time, tend to be more of a traditional dichotomy, right? The man tends to be, the man. He's not, of course, he's listening to his wife, and I'm not saying that he's telling her what to do. That's not what I'm saying. But he's a masculine figure in the relationship. And, for the most part, what he says goes, man. It's an equal thing. Obviously, I want my wife to come bring everything to the table and make my life good. I'm just saying, every once in a while, there's a situation, and women tend to be more emotional, and when the emotions are there, it overrides the logic section of the brain. Okay, so a man needs to be the kind of man who, when the time arises, and it will, he needs to step in and say, shut up, shut up, shut up. I'm dealing with this, and just fucking deal with it. Better yet, the relationship is so cool that when the dude stands up, the woman automatically knows this shit's about to be handled, whatever it is, and she doesn't. And that's another thing, which I would never date this type of person. This only happened when I was very young, but there are those women out there that will create problems in public. I would never go out with one of these women knowing this, but you don't know it. You know why? Because like I said earlier, in the beginning, it was, you meet somebody and you're having sex. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I should go out with this person. Dumb. Right? Because that's when you end up going out with some girl like this, where you're out in public, and she's doing things that are going to get you in a physical altercation with some person you've never even seen before. This is loco, crazy tunes, Looney Tunes shit. Men, you see that, you run for the hills. I'm just saying, this is common sense, man. It just needed to be said. Okay, listen up. The segment you're about to watch, it's a pretty good segment, if I do say so myself. However, because I'm such a pro, I'm such a freaking pro, I basically shot it and cut off the whole top of my friggin' head. So, being who I am, I don't really care. So you're about to watch that, because it's actually kind of more interesting, maybe. I don't know. Because it's off the cuff, man. One take wonder right here. Man, am I just creating a bunch of t-shirts today? One take wonder. I'm so pro. I hope somebody's writing this shit down, because I'm not going to remember it. All right. I don't know, man. I feel like when you first meet somebody, and it should be an instant kind of vibe in a way. There's always those stories, right? Two people meet, they might see each other, but there's circumstances that are happening at that moment where one of them can't go over there and try and make something happen. They're in a relationship themselves, their father just died, whatever, dog just died, whatever. So that's a thing, I suppose. But you should meet somebody and you should have an attraction pretty quick. And while obviously I know, and we should all get to know each other first a little bit, go on a couple dates, man. Slow it down a little. But it is normal, like, to be making out and heavy pet and all that stuff from the jump, maybe, if there's that kind of reaction to the other person. That's happened to me a lot in my life. That's a great thing. So I don't think anybody should shy away from that. But having said all that, if that's happening, then I think even though you're still getting to know each other, you do have to, you know, make it happen. You know, you got to do it at some point. And I believe that should happen relatively early on because you want to make sure that that's, you know, like you're synced that way. I mention this because I know people who have been married and now divorced, and or who are married and have these issues. A lot of my friends are married, man. You know, they're my friends. I hear shit. And, you know, they're not always happy in that department. And, you know, the problem with that is then, and listen, man, sometimes, you know, one or the other person in the relationship is 100% cool with the other person getting some side action because they're not willing to do what that person needs. I think that's why, you know, whores exist, right? I don't think, I know. I'm not one of those guys. I don't go to those women. But I'm just saying. You got to get that kind of out of the way, you know? And it is weird, like, because I've met people before who, you know, if you kind of come on to them in a way that you let them know that you're interested in them, you know, sexually, obviously. And I mean, you got to be cool. If you're being a douchebag about it, then you ain't getting nowhere anyhow. But I'm just saying. And that person actually could like you, and their response is more like, well, you know, I need to be in a relationship. That's a weird thing a little bit, because how do you get, so you get into a relationship without being intimate with somebody, and then you find out? That doesn't, that's not really happening, is it? That's a huge waste of time, man. That's happened to me in my life, where I've met somebody. This is why you got to do this. All right, I'm going to give you a practical friggin' story here that has happened to me multiple times. Right? I meet somebody and I like them. I think they're pretty and cool and blah 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 blah, and I slow it down. I'm like, I want to get to be this person's friend. You know, I think it's important. We should be best friends. If you're not marrying your best friend, you're fucking stupid. So, dar moment of this video. That's going to end up on a fucking t-shirt one day. Dar moment of this video. Yeah. I'm just saying. You get to be friends with the person, and then you get to know them so well, you're no longer sexually attracted to them. So yeah, it's better to have sex sooner, because at least if it doesn't work out, you still had sex. That's so fucking wrong. Shit. I hope you're enjoying this. You're not going to believe this, but when I just started that clip, I was watching it as I was watching the back of the screen go by, and I happened to notice that the screen didn't shift this way. So you were about to get another effed up segment with the screen going the opposite direction. But I'm such a pro. I caught that. Listen, I just want to say, I was thinking about saying to you, don't get too used to this, right? But then I realized maybe I should do this more often. I don't know. Feels like it's a good thing. So I did build the van to do this sort of thing. This feels like a thing. Feels like a thing to me. Let me know what you think down there. And thanks for being here. Come back again. I'd like to see you again. I'll see you next time. Be good to one another. All right. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this Sunday night chat. There'll be more. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun doing all this stuff. A lot of people think I should do this more often as far as the camping goes. I think the fireside chat thing would be fun. I need to get out there more. It makes me happy. I did not want to come back. I wanted to stay there. So I need to do it more. And you'll see what's going on in my mind while I'm around the campfire talking about this very particular point of possibly becoming a full-time van lifer and all that. With these videos that'll be coming out, I discuss it. So we'll see how life goes. I've got options. I never had options before, really, when I was younger. And at least I didn't feel like it, and I got them now. So again, thank you for being here. Be kind to one another. Come back often. Tell your friends. I'll catch you in the next one.